It baffles me that I continue to do this channel, given that I'm just opening myself up to be criticized. And it baffles me even more than being nice about it so far. That won't last forever, just saying. Anyways, Nameless Narcissist here once again. A civil man diagnosed with NPD, actually diagnosed with NPD, unlike a lot of other YouTubers out there, and trying to dispel stigma and actually tell you the truth about narcissistic personality disorder. Keep in mind, I'm no clinician, so take that as you will. I can only speak to my own experiences, but if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. So, quit my job the other day. It was, you may think that was impulsive. It was a little bit. I won't mind. Now, it was relatively well thought out. But it highlighted some of the issues that I have operating within a workforce that I really didn't think was going to bleed over into my career until it was, well, too late. It's kind of insane. Because first of all, right now I'm struggling a lot with the fact that I feel like a failure over the fact that I had to quit my job. I have never had a job that I had less than a year. And the fact that I had to resign myself to that just feels awful. I'm like, wow, I'm pathetic. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do a job that other people can do. And it makes me feel so, hollow and stuff. It's very hard to grapple with. But on top of that, there's the grandiosity of my arrogance and quitting, where I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, no matter what, I'm gonna be fine, even if it was a not as well thought out or planned out thing as it should have been. Because I'm like, oh, I'm a genius. I can do whatever I want. I'll find a way. And don't get me wrong, I've always found a way, no matter what my situation was. But at the same time, if I was a little bit more reasonable, I would have stuck it out a little bit longer while I found a solid thing to go to next. And I didn't, because I was just overconfident in that moment. And then but the issues that led to it is oh my gosh, for the past 3 months, the amount of stress from having a job with such a high demand was so overwhelming, just because I would literally wake up in the morning and think, oh gosh, if I didn't do as well as other people today, I don't even want to go to work. I want to show myself. I felt like I had to vomit just because of how shameful that was and how humiliated I felt all of the time. It was so stressful, and especially since there was kind of a ranking system at the end of each week, and I was relatively high up, and by relatively I mean second or third a couple of those weeks, and that was empowering. It was great. But then I was what if you're not next week? Everyone's going, oh, you're a failure and a fraud and you suck. And it was just so constant. And then it's people would try to give you advice sometimes, and even people who had been there if someone had been there longer than me, I'd be I would tolerate it at least and try to listen to it. But if they were similar to me or had been there less time than me, I would get so angry internally, thinking, how dare this idiot tell me what to do? What do you know? And even the things that the people who were higher up and had experience, there was just this dismissal, being well, I'm smarter than you, so I'll figure it out on my own. I'll figure out my own ways. And I did. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't awful at the job. I was fine. I did relatively well during my short period there. It was just the constant pressure of it to perform and to be the best was so much. Oh my god. Luckily, quitting went well though, at least, which kind of pissed me off more. I'm I want my boss to be angry at me. I want to be mad that I'm leaving. How dare he not appreciate me? No, I was just kind of relieved at that point. But it's this is the kind of thing that people really don't think about when they think about NPD, is that oh my god, everything is so stressful, everything is this desire to be perfect and the best, and you can never reach it, and even when you do accomplish it, you kind of feel like a fake and a fraud, and then if you do accomplish it, it's okay, but I have to outdo myself next time, I have to still do better than everybody else. And it's constant. There's I wish I had some kind of solution to this, because it affects me in so many ways. With most jobs, honestly, the way that it's worse when I perform better at a job, because when I'm performing poor at a job, I can say, oh well, this job's beneath me anyway, I can kind of convince myself that the only reason I'm not performing my best is because I don't want to. I'm like, whatever, this doesn't mean anything. It's a stepping stone. And especially if it's like a very non-prestigious job, like I can convince myself that there's no point to doing well. And it's like I'm just doing it to survive. But like if it's something that I'm like, okay, this is like a good job and I have some degree of skill at it, then it's so much more heavily tied to my self-esteem. Like I can try to at least separate. Like I can't really, but it's easier to separate my self-esteem from a job when I view it as beneath me. But if I view it as at my level or something that I should be doing well at, then there's no way. It's completely, my self-esteem gets completely dependent on it. God. And it's like for the past, like, I haven't even told most of the people in my life that I quit because I'm like, I can't deal with that shame and humiliation. Why would I want to deal with that? And they're gonna be like, oh no, like you shouldn't. It's like, oh, everyone has jobs that they can't do well in. It's like, yeah, but I'm not everybody. That doesn't make me feel better. I don't know what people could tell me to make me feel better, for being honest. When it comes to like exes, like the only thing that makes me feel better is like, oh, you're too good for anyone. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I was. When it comes to jobs, you know, it's like some of these, it's like I can't tell myself I was too good for it, right? It was a relatively prestigious job. And so it's like, I don't know, what are people, I don't know how anybody could soothe me from that. I think like the best thing somebody has told me is like, oh well, you know, everybody kind of knows that you're not like wired for, everyone has always kind of known that like just because of how you operate, like a desk job was never going to be the thing that you settled down. And I was like, okay, that's acceptable. That's acceptable. But everyone, I don't know. It really sucks that I don't even know how to soothe myself, and I expect other people to know how to soothe me. But like, I don't even know what I need. And then I get frustrated at them for not being able to. And that's not fair of me to expect. But like, I'm still feeling all this emotional turmoil and I want to be soothed. So it's like, where does all of that go? And it usually goes to the people who aren't doing what I necessarily want them to. It's so stupid. I know it's stupid. Like everybody, like the thing is, like I view it as so stupid when people are like, oh, like love yourself and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's insane and dumb. But then I know that like me saying things like this, we're saying that's dumb to think that you should just love yourself for who you are and all you are is your accomplishments and achievements and what you can do. Other people won't view that as equally as dumb, which is an interesting subjective thing right there. Because like now that since I fail at this, I'm like, I have no worth. If I'm not doing anything, then what am I worth if I cannot accomplish anything? If I failed, then I'm nothing. There's no inherent worth in someone just being. Everybody has been born, you know? It's what I can accomplish in this life that actually matters. And the fact that I've accomplished a lot already doesn't matter if I'm not continuously doing more, because I'm going to get behind and everyone else is going to get in front of me and I'm going to be worthless compared to them. And God, that's the thing. There's always this like intense pressure, always be working towards the next thing. Because again, otherwise I'll get behind. I'm losing time every moment that I am not doing something to work towards greatness. And it's not even like, it's like, I don't want to like, well, I do want to, but I don't plan on ruling the world, but I want to amount to something. I don't want to live my entire life as just this nobody that like just rots and is stagnant. I hate stagnation. Stagnation, I think, is just like, I know I look down on other people for it a lot, and I shouldn't, but I look down on myself so much more for it when I feel like I'm being complacent. Like that's probably the one thing somebody can say that will like throw me into a rage, is that like I'm being stagnant or complacent or whatever. Because I'm always trying to work towards something. I'm always studying something. I'm always like working on some project, and a lot of it doesn't pan out because my attention span is nothing. Because I'm so easily bored. And I think I'm better than rationalize it. It's the whole thing. But like, I wish I knew how other people were thinking, not how they were thinking, but like the feelings that they were having when they say things like that, it doesn't matter what you accomplish in this life. I'm like, how else are you supposed to know that you're worth something if you're not actively proving it? If other people can't see that you are, great. I just don't see the point. I wish other people could I don't know, I just wish I understood the logic, I guess. And I guess I understand the logic, it's just the emotions that I don't get. I wish I could understand people just feeling good about themselves for existing. I guess I envy that a lot. Because I've never felt like, just because I was here, I've never felt worth because of that. What about me intrinsically is worth anything? I can find worth in my intelligence, in my attractiveness, in my accomplishments. But just the fact that I am a clump of cells that exists, it sounds so nihilistic. But I don't see genuine worth in that. I don't see genuine worth in being able to think, being able to experience. You have to prove your worth. Otherwise, you're nothing. I know that's not rational. I know that's part of my pathology to view it like that, but I just don't get, I just don't understand, being able to feel that your gut feeling isn't that you need to be better and you need to keep improving yourself. You need to keep working towards that next goal and always try to be better than everybody else or you're worthless. I don't understand how somebody can feel like that's not the truth. And I guess that's why my projection can get so bad, is because I'm like, everybody has to operate the way I can, because I literally can't understand the way anybody else would. Also it's kind of I don't know, if you don't have money, you starve or have to work for the rest of life and be miserable. So it's there's also a little bit of truth to the fact that you're nothing if you can't achieve, if you can't amass wealth, if you can't be famous or whatever. Then you are nothing, because it's what's the point of even living if the rest of your life you're just slaving away? If you're just, I don't believe people genuinely enjoy their jobs. I don't think anybody actually does. Who has a job they actually enjoy? I've never heard of, people say that, but I'm okay, but you have to work. You have to. There's this expectation and pressure all the time. And I think and to me that's the difference between work and a hobby, is the fact that at least with a hobby I can do it at my leisure. I can overachieve or underachieve all I want. But with a job, there's constant expectation. Every day. There's no breaks. You always have to, and then if you do overachieve, then there's a pressure to always overachieve. And it compounds like that. Because it's oh well, if you overachieve that time, then it's you can't do worse next time, where people are going to know that as a one-off thing, and you actually have no, they'll know you're a fraud, you're just trying too hard and shit like that. It's frustrating. I wish I could understand it. I'll figure it out though. I'm earnestly confident I will. I survived for a year unemployed, just playing around with stocks and stuff, so maybe I'll I was thinking about I don't know, I think I'm gonna sell ammunition. I know how to make bullets, why not? Anyways, y'all have a good day. Take your fucking meds.